Your life, your rules. Unlocked with Huawei Mate 7's advanced fingerprint security on a 6-inch display. Huawei Mate 7. Huawei.
And another company that's using green energy to change the world is Urban Green Energy. UGE International is a company to watch out for. They've installed two Vision Air 5 vertical axis wind turbines on the Eiffel Tower as part of a high-profile renovation and upgrade to this monument that is just, all over the world. It's so recognizable. It's located above the second level, and the turbines will produce over 10,000 kilowatt hours of electricity a year, offsetting the annual consumption of all commercial activity on the Eiffel Tower's first floor. Now, chatting to us about this incredible initiative via Skype, he's in New York in some coffee shop, and this is the beauty of technology, is CEO and the co-founder of the company, Nick Blitterswyk. Nick, thanks for joining us on TechBusters. What was the idea of installing this at the Eiffel Tower, firstly?
Yeah, no, my pleasure. There's really two parts to that question. The first part is that it's really such an iconic structure, really known all around the world, and it was something that we were really proud to be part of, and I think is a great beacon for protecting the environment. And then the second part is that they really chose us. They were looking for a technology to help them go green, and they looked around the world and they came across UGE, and in particular our wind turbines, and decided that would make a great addition to the Eiffel Tower.
That's absolutely fantastic. Now, explain to us in layman's terms what you've installed and the power output, and how much of the Eiffel Tower are you actually powering up?
So what we installed on the Eiffel Tower are two of our Vision Air wind turbines. These are a vertical axis design, which is a little bit different than many people are used to seeing. The reason for that is because they really handle the sort of types of air that you find in cities much better than the traditional fan type. They're also completely silent and very low vibration as well, so it fit really well within the Eiffel Tower. And what they're powering are the two turbines are powering the restaurant that's on the platform of the Eiffel Tower, and it's offsetting virtually all of the energy.
Now, just explain to us, wind technology and wind turbines like this, the other alternatives obviously are solar power. How different is wind versus solar, and why are we not seeing more wind turbines around? Because maybe that's the impression that I'm seeing, that there's more wind, more solar power than wind turbines. Is there a reason for this? Is it a more expensive technology, for example?
It's also a good question. Us as a company, UGE, we actually do a lot of solar installations as well. So we're really a fan of both technologies. Solar, in the last 5 years, the prices have dropped unbelievably, in over 90% in many cases. And so the use case for solar continues to go up. But the use case for wind is also very impressive as well. And in this case, the Eiffel Tower wanted to install renewable energy on the Eiffel Tower, and the use case for solar was really quite limited. But the use case for wind was actually very good. The height of the Eiffel Tower, of course, is very high, and the winds that we were able to get up on the tower was really quite significant.
That's fantastic, and I understand as well that this doesn't need a huge amount of wind to generate power, because you don't have to have wind; it keeps moving all the time. This particular turbine, right?
Yeah, no, that's correct. One of the strengths of the design is that it doesn't take very much wind to start spinning, and it produces quite a bit of energy, and in moderate winds that you find in a city like Paris. So that's absolutely right. And when you go to the Eiffel Tower, they're almost always spinning. There's almost always enough wind to produce power with them.
You've managed to provide power for the first floor of the Eiffel Tower and a lot of the LED lighting. In layman's terms, how much power is that if you translate it into your average home, for example?
Yeah, so each one of the two wind turbines installed, roughly speaking, offset the power of an American home, which unfortunately uses more energy than the average home around the world. So they do, so hopefully that helps your listeners then.
And well, is it an expensive installation? If somebody wants to do something like that in their home, which would make sense, what does something like this cost on a domestic level?
Us as a company, we actually focus mostly on the commercial and industrial segment, but the residential sector is growing so fast for renewable energy as well. And so in order to install renewable energy on your facility, your home, it may cost anywhere from $5,000 to $25,000 US.
Give us a global overview of how renewable energy and products like yours are doing around the world.
You know, Germany is the best use case for the first country that really sort of turned on in terms of their understanding and use of renewable energy. California within the U.S. was arguably second, and since then, many other states in the U.S. have really started to adopt renewable energy. And Australia has become a country that's using a lot of renewable energy too. And actually, one of my colleagues was last week in South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Kenya, working on some projects there and looking for more opportunities. So it's really becoming a worldwide phenomenon right now.
Well, that's fantastic to hear, and we'd love to explore your technology more in depth in South Africa. As you know, we're going through a bit of an energy crisis of our own, very similar to that California went through a few years ago, and our grid has been under a tremendous amount of strain. Is there any new technology that's coming onto the radar that we need to be aware of, Nick?
The technology that first came to mind when you were asking that question was actually financing. And that's because, you know, solar power in particular has become so affordable that it makes economic sense to install it. But at the same time, if you're a customer, you have two big issues. Number one is that you don't necessarily want to spend, say, 5 or 10 years worth of energy up front in order to get that back over time. And you also might not have that money. And then the other problem is that there's a risk involved. You don't understand solar as well as a customer as the company producing the solar systems does. And so what project financing allows us to do is say, you know, we'll take the risk, we'll install this for free, and you'll be able to save, say, 10 or 20 or 30% immediately and get that back over time. And that's really been the innovation that's allowed markets like the US to pick up in the last couple of years. And those same financing innovations are coming to markets like Africa right now as well.
Fantastic. Nick, it's been great chatting to you. Thank you for your time on the line from New York.